the whisper in the void. The shuttle was silent, save for the low hum of grav engines adjusting to the docking corridor. Silence was rare in space, but on this vessel it pressed down like a living thing. A weight, pressure, a warning. I sat near the middle row, dressed in the simple gray uniform issued to diplomatic attachés. To any casual glance, I was nothing. Another anonymous envoy from a backwater colony, riding transport to the Galactic Concorde's central station. My eyes remained lowered, fixed on the data slab in my hand. But I didn't read, because I heard them, the whispers. The aliens across from me spoke in hushed clicks and sibilant tones, their voices carrying just enough on the recycled air currents. They thought their language was safe, thought no human ear could understand it. They were wrong. "There is one on board," the taller of the two murmured, mandibles twitching with unease. Its translucent skin rippled faintly in shades of pale blue, betraying anxiety. "A Deathworlder, a human." The second one flinched. Its pupils dilated into sharp slits, and it cast a glance toward the security drones patrolling the aisles. Here? Impossible. The Council forbade them after what happened at Targish Prime. No human would dare step foot on a Concorde vessel. I almost smiled. Almost. Instead, I shifted slightly in my seat, adjusting the uniform collar to hide the faint glint of old insignia beneath. My heart beat steady, trained, controlled. I'd been here before, too many times. The first alien leaned closer, lowering its voice even more. "The scent lingers, sharp, metallic. You know the stories. They smell like storms, like war, the predator walk of their kind." "Stop," the second hissed, claws flexing against the seat restraints. "If it were true, we'd already be dead." The legends. Legends. That word again. It always returned to that. To them, we were myths made flesh. The last echoes of a species that refused to bow, carved into the galaxy's nightmares. They thought us monsters, sculpted by gravity wells and poison skies, tempered by endless wars on a planet that birthed apex predators by the millions. A death world, they called it. And yet here I sat, breathing the same air, sharing the same silence. They had no idea. The shuttle jolted as docking clamps sealed with a metallic thud. Above, lights shifted from crimson to pale green, signaling atmospheric stabilization. The aliens stiffened, their whispers dying as the cabin filled with the hiss of decompressing seals. I rose slowly, every motion measured. My hands brushed against the rough strap of the satchel slung over my shoulder. It wasn't much to look at. Scuffed leather, worn at the edges, the kind of bag any low-level functionary might carry. But inside, beneath layers of decoy paperwork, lay something older, heavier, a relic, not a weapon, not exactly, but a reminder. The aliens filed out ahead of me, moving quickly, their postures betraying eagerness to leave the tension of the shuttle behind. I followed at a calm pace, boots striking metal flooring with the steady rhythm of a soldier who had long ago learned how to make footsteps echo just enough to be noticed. We emerged into the docking bay of the Concorde station. It was vast, a cathedral of steel and light. Arches of luminescent alloy stretched high above, thrumming with reactor energy. Hundreds of species moved through the space. Feathered Avrians with jeweled eyes, scaled Threxians with their warlike bearing, soft-bodied Yulari drifting like bioluminescent jellyfish in protective spheres. Languages clashed and blended in a chorus of alien noise. But even here, whispers spread. The rumor had moved faster than light. I caught fragments as I passed. "Deathworlder. One of them is here. They cannot allow it." Fear. It traveled like fire through dry fields, leaping from mind to mind, species to species. Some turned to stare. Some looked away, pretending not to notice. But I saw the way their postures shifted, the way security drones glided just a fraction closer. And I kept walking. The council chamber was worse. A place built not for diplomacy but for intimidation. The floor was a seamless expanse of obsidian alloy, reflecting everything above. The ceiling disappeared into a dome of stars, or what looked like stars. In truth, it was a projection of every world under the Concorde's dominion, hanging like jewels above the delegates. Tiered platforms circled the chamber, each occupied by representatives of a dozen species. Their voices filled the air in a low susurrus of debate. At the chamber's center stood the speaker's dais, a crystalline structure glowing faintly gold. I took my assigned seat at the far end of the human delegation's row. The row was empty. Of course it was. Earth's colonies had been silent for decades, our presence reduced to whispers and warnings. The Concord had declared us extinct in all but name, erased from rosters, histories, and trade routes. And yet the seat remained, an empty reminder, until today. I placed my satchel gently on the seat beside me and folded my hands, head lowered. To anyone watching, I was no different from a nervous junior envoy, waiting for instructions that would never come. But I felt their eyes, 1,000 of them, searching, judging. The debate roared on above me, a storm of alien tongues. I caught flashes of meaning, trade disputes, border conflicts, accusations of piracy. But beneath it all, beneath the carefully measured words, the whispers had grown louder. The Deathworlder sits among us. Is it true? Does the old blood still walk? If they rise again, the speaker's voice cut through the noise like a blade. Enough! The chamber fell silent. The crystalline figure raised a slender arm, its body refracting the golden light until it shone like a living sun. There are rumors, dangerous ones, claims of a human present within this hall. The word itself carried weight. Human. Gasps rippled through the tiers. Some delegates shifted uneasily. Others bared teeth or hissed in open hostility. The chamber air thickened with fear. The speaker's gaze swept across the chamber. Cold. Searching. We will address this now. If such a creature exists within our sanctum, let it reveal itself. Let truth banish shadow. I exhaled slowly. The moment stretched. I could feel hearts pounding around me. Not my own, but theirs. Entire species holding their breath, waiting to see if the ghost in their stories would step forward. I did not move. Not yet. Instead, I reached into the satchel and brushed my fingers across the cool, etched surface of what lay inside. A simple thing. But when I drew it out and placed it on the obsidian table before me, the reaction was immediate. The whispers stopped. The chamber fell utterly, terrifyingly silent. Because lying there, gleaming faintly beneath the golden lights, was a medal. Not of Concord make. Not of alien design. A human war medal. The kind awarded only to those who had survived the impossible. I raised my head at last. Slowly, calmly, my eyes met theirs. 1,000 species staring down at me. And I smiled. Deathworlder. My voice was soft, but it carried. No, you misunderstand. I am not a monster from your stories. I leaned forward, tapping the metal once, letting its sound echo like a gunshot across the chamber. I am proof. The silence broke like glass, replaced by a tidal wave of voices. Panicked, furious, awed. The chamber erupted in chaos, delegates shouting, clawed hands raised, wings flaring in agitation. Above it all, the speaker's golden light flickered. For the first time in centuries, it wavered. And I knew they were right to whisper, for their warnings had not been about a monster. They had been about me, and I was far more dangerous. The council's mistake. The chamber was chaos incarnate. 1,000 alien voices crashed against each other like waves against stone. Hissing, roaring, clicking, and bellowing filled the domed hall until the air itself seemed to vibrate with fear. Delegates rose from their seats, some flaring wings, some flashing claws, others clutching at symbols of authority as if they could shield them. And I just sat there, calm, silent, my metal gleaming faintly on the obsidian surface before me. The speaker raised its crystalline arms, trying to restore order, but the chamber ignored it. Fear was too strong. Fear had a language all its own. The humans are not gone. The Deathworlders walk among us. How many are there? I waited, letting them drown in their own panic. Timing was everything. A soldier's patience could break armies. Finally, When the speaker's golden light pulsed bright enough to silence even the loudest voice, I rose. And the chamber stilled. Not out of respect, but out of terror. I picked up the metal and held it in my palm, turning it so the golden projection lights caught its edges. It gleamed like fire, ancient and unyielding. "You fear legends," I said softly, my voice cutting across the silence. "You whisper warnings in your corridors. You tell your young about the horrors of humanity. But you forget something important." I let my gaze sweep the chamber, meeting the eyes of every species that dared look. We were not born to be legends. We were made by necessity, by survival, by a planet that demanded strength or death. And when the galaxy came for us, when fleets and armies tried to erase us, I tapped the metal against the table again. The sound cracked like thunder in the silence. We survived. Gasps rippled outward. Some delegates recoiled. Others leaned forward despite themselves. I lowered the metal, tucking it back into the satchel. And now you find me here. Not on a battlefield. Not in a trench. Not behind the barrel of a gun. But here in your council, listening to whispers. A low murmur spread again. But this time it wasn't just fear. There was something else. Curiosity. The speaker's form flickered, golden light stuttering as if it were faltering under the weight of its own authority. You admit it, then," it said. Its voice carried a brittle edge. "You are human." I smiled faintly. I never denied it. The chamber erupted again. Delegates screamed for expulsion. Some demanded my immediate execution. Others cried for investigation, for quarantine, for purging the ship I had arrived on. The words contamination and threat echoed through the tears. I didn't flinch. I had stood before war councils and death squads before. I had faced worse than words. Instead, I stepped forward, not to the speaker's dais, but to the center of the chamber floor. My boots echoed against obsidian alloy, the sound impossibly loud in the tumult. "Enough," I said. The word was quiet, but the way I spoke it carried the weight of command, of battles won, of a soldier who had walked through fire and returned. And, impossibly, the chamber began to still. Even the speaker hesitated. "You fear humanity," I said, raising my voice just enough to carry. "You fear what we are, what we were. But you misunderstand. You think we are predators who hunt for pleasure. You think we are beasts loosed upon the stars." I shook my head. "You are wrong." I paused, letting silence hang. "We are not dangerous because we hunt. We are dangerous because we endure." A ripple passed through the chamber, uneasy and sharp. "We fought not because we loved war, but because we had to. Our world tried to kill us every day. Disease, storms, quakes, predators, our own kind. We learned to stand when others fell. We learned to adapt when others broke. We learned to rise when the universe tried to keep us down." My voice dropped lower, softer. "And that is what terrifies you. Not our weapons. Not our ships. Not even our soldiers." I let the words sink in. "It's the fact that no matter what you do, we remain." The silence after that was thicker than before. Delegates sat rigid, claws and mandibles and wings still, as if the entire hall held its breath. Finally, one delegate broke the stillness. A scaled Threxian, its armor gleaming, its eyes like burning embers. It rose, pointing a clawed finger at me. "Your kind waged war against the Concord," it roared. "You burned colonies. You shattered fleets. You butchered millions." I met its gaze without flinching. "And what did you do to us?" The Threxian faltered, its jaw clicking shut. I took another step forward. "You glassed our colonies. You erased our names from your records. You called us extinct while our people bled on worlds no one remembers. You feared us, so you tried to bury us." My hands clenched at my sides, the memories flashing like fire in my mind. Friends lost. Cities burned. Earth itself, silent in the night sky. "And still," I said, voice low and dangerous, "we are here." The speaker shifted uneasily. Its light dimmed, then flared again. "What do you want, human?" it asked finally. That was the question, wasn't it? The one they all wanted answered. I let the silence stretch before I replied. What I want, I said slowly, is simple. Truth. Recognition. No more whispers. No more lies. You speak of Deathworlders as if we are myths, warnings told to frighten the young. But we are not shadows. We are flesh and blood. And we are not gone. I let my words harden, steel beneath the calm. You will remember humanity, whether you want to or not. The uproar was immediate, but it was different this time. Less chaos, more division. Some shouted in outrage, others in agreement. A handful of species, the ones who had fought beside us once upon a time, rose to defend me. Others hissed and spat, demanding blood. The chamber had split, and that was enough, because division meant cracks, and cracks meant fear, and fear meant they understood the truth. Humanity could not be erased. The speaker's light pulsed violently, struggling to hold authority over the fracturing chamber. This cannot stand, it declared. If humans remain, then the balance of the concord. Balance, I cut in. You mean the lie you built. A galaxy where you pretend the strongest threat no longer exists. A galaxy where you sleep easy because you believe you destroyed us. I shook my head slowly. You didn't destroy us. You woke us up. At that, I reached into my satchel one final time. The chamber tensed, some delegates half rising in fear, expecting a weapon. But it wasn't a weapon I drew. It was a simple communicator, battered and scarred, patched together with earthborn tech. I set it gently on the obsidian floor, pressing one button, and the chamber filled with sound. Not words, a song. Old, human, the kind sung in trenches, whispered on starships, hummed by soldiers staring at the void. A song of defiance, of endurance, of home. The voices of my people carried across the stars. Every delegate froze. Some looked horrified. Some looked entranced. But none could deny it. Humanity lived. Humanity remembered. And humanity sang. I shut the device off, letting the echoes fade into silence. Then I looked at the speaker, at all of them. You whisper warnings of a Deathworlder, I said. Now you've heard the truth. Humanity is not the whisper in your halls. We are the storm outside your doors. You can pretend we are gone. You can hide behind your fleets and your laws. But you cannot erase us. You cannot silence us. I turned, picking up my satchel, slinging it over my shoulder. And if you are wise, you will never again try. As I left the chamber, I felt their eyes on me, some full of hate, some full of fear, some full of hope. It didn't matter, because the whispers had changed. No longer fear of a shadow. Now it was something else. Recognition. And recognition was the first step to remembering. And once the galaxy remembered us, there would be no stopping what came next. For humanity had returned, and we were never truly gone.